My name is Gertzek Miriam. My maiden name is Weiss.
Nice. When you were born?
In 1926, November 24th of November. In Nyírbátor, Hungary.
Hungarian.
I was deported to Birkenau.
Excuse me, could you give me just a little information about your family?
Yes.
How many did you have?
My father was a teacher.
Yes.
My mother was a housewife. We had 8 children, 4 girls and 4 boys. We were all deported together, apart from my sister, who was at that time in Budapest,
Yes.
and my eldest brother, who was in hiding so that he won't be called up to the munkatábor, which was work detail of Jewish young men at the front, and those young men worked for the German army, and most of them perished there. My brother said his end will be dead anyway, so at least he won't be working there for the Nazis. And he was in hiding, and we, after the deportation, never heard about him. I won't get into the camp, the transit camp where we were before we were deported, because it's too long. And that has nothing to do with Honorable. So I'll just...
Yeah, and when did your life change in Hungary? Your life?
When the Germans came in.
When was it?
There were, on the 19th of March, 1944.
19th of March?
Yes.
Yes. What happened?
Well, immediately there were the laws against Jews, all kinds of laws. I was too young to be affected by it anyway, but life was very difficult because there was nothing to get. We were really starving, you can say. There was no food. Because the German army took away everything from Hungary, and you could get only on rations all the food, if there was any, and it was very difficult to get. And the Germans, with the Hungarian gendarmerie, went around to every farmer and searched their premises for any excess wheat or potatoes or anything, and if they had more than was their allowance, they took it away. So there was no way of buying something, even if you had the money, but there was no work, and there was no money, and there was no food, and it was very difficult. But we didn't have a long time to suffer that, because from the 19th of March on, there was only 2 months,
Yes.
approximately, before we were deported, and even less, because we were taken
To ghetto?
to Shimapusta.
When was it?
That was just exactly after Pesach. That's the Jewish Easter, right?
Yeah.
I can't remember the exact date.
So
but
after
we stayed
Pesach
there.
you came into the ghetto?
The ghetto, which was a transit camp.
Yeah.
We were there for 6 weeks, and from there we were deported to Auschwitz, to Birkenau actually.
Yes. And yeah, did you do some work in the ghetto? No.
No one worked in the ghetto.
Yeah.
No one. There was not. We were just waiting for the deportation, which of course we didn't know is going to happen. Or we were told that we are being resettled into work camps places where it will be very nice for us will be working. And we were given forms like this that you have here to fill in with all our particulars, and it was very exactly done. They were so careful that we wrote the exact names and every particular exactly, because it was very important for the future work that we'll get. You understand? So that's how they fooled us. And then when we actually were putting the cattle trucks and traveled for 3 days and 3 nights in conditions that was hell on earth.
That was in the middle of May?
Beginning of May, about that time.
Yeah.
I can't remember. We didn't have a calendar because we were not allowed to take with us anything from home.
Yeah.
We arrived to Birkenau, and that was a place that is beyond description. First of all, you don't have enough time for me to get into that. You want me to tell it in detail?
Maybe you can tell me what happened after you arrived in Auschwitz?
Yes, Birkenau.
Yes, in Birkenau.
Yes. Well, we were separated immediately as we got off the train. We were separated from my parents and my little brothers and sisters. You see, we didn't know where they're taking us, and they told us that the old people were being put on trucks because it's a long walk, and they're making it easier for them to go, because this long walk would be too much for them. And I believed them, and we all believed them. Of course, I never saw them again. My mother and my little sisters and brothers. I saw my father one more time with my brother Joseph, who were taken to work camps. And my brother, I don't know what happened to him, where he perished, but he perished. My father was working up to the last minute, 5 minutes before the English army arrived there. He was shot dead together with 3,000 others. My father was 44 years old. And so my mother and the other sisters and brothers were taken immediately to the gas chambers, which I didn't know, of course. Weeks later, when I saw from my Seelager, where I was,
You have been to
Seelager, I saw the flames in the chimneys day and night, and I didn't know what it was. There was a carpenter who came regularly to fix up the banks because they used to break under the heavy load of so many people on them. And I asked him, because he said he's in Auschwitz already 2.5 years. And I asked him, maybe you know when I'll be reunited with my mother and father and all my family. And he looked at me and he said, oh, for goodness sake, where are you? What is it with you? Don't you know where they are? I said, no, they are. We were told that we'll be meeting them. And he said, come out with me and look at the flames from the chimney. You see that? That's where they are burning. And I thought to myself, what a nasty man it is. How on earth can he even think about such an awful, horrible thing? And to say it to me, I did not believe it, and I didn't believe it till the end. I was hoping the whole time that when the war ends, I'll be meeting my whole family somewhere where we'll be liberated.
So have you been together with one of your sisters? Or
No, I was on my own.
Yes.
I was cut off from everybody.
And when you arrived in Auschwitz, did you...
They cut off our hair.
Yes.
They took away all our clothes, whatever we had on,
Yeah.
and we were given a pair of shoes,
Yes.
no matter what size, no matter whether it fitted or not. And I was given one dress, no underwear, nothing, just one dress. This dress had no sleeves. It was a summer dress. It just very short sleeves, and it was long. Out of the length which I cut off, I made a piece of cloth that I could put on my head.
Oh, you made a
So that, yes. With this dress, I stayed until we went to Auschwitz months later for Entlausen. Twice they took us to Auschwitz because we were all, in terrible condition.
Did you get a number in Birkenau?
Yes.
On your
I don't
arm?
know. When we came to Auschwitz, we were they were very, very busy. And they simply, when my transport arrived, they didn't have time to make the detonation, so we got a number, a disc, actually. Everyone got a disc. And it got lost. I didn't, it was 8028. Yeah. That's right. And I was in Auschwitz-Birkenau till around October.
1944.
Yes. In October, there were rumors among the girls that there's going to be a selection, and the selection will be for girls with beautiful eyes who will then be taken to the front for the amusement of the soldiers, of the German soldiers. And you can imagine that innocent little girls like I was didn't want that. So when we were actually standing in the row, and the doctor was looking at us one after the other, I bent my head down so that he won't see me. And since I was so small and so skinny, he almost didn't see me. And I wasn't selected. And this way, the other girls were also not selected, and they didn't have enough people to take on the transport, so there was another selection. But before that selection, the rumor got it that it's not going to be a transport for the front, it's going to be a transport for work. So we realized that is better than rotting in Birkenau. So at that time I already stood up straight and looked right in the eye of the doctor who selected us. He was probably, that wasn't, Dr. Mengele was at the arrival.
Oh, okay.
But this was a doctor, probably an eye doctor, an eye specialist. And he looked really at our eyes, and he said, yeah, I was selected also. And that's
Maybe
how...
also on your fingers? If you had...
No, he didn't.
No?
He didn't look at our fingers. He looked at into our faces and at our eyes, really.
Yes.
We were taken to Hamburg-Horneburg.
Excuse me, one more question. The person who selected you, Was it a person of Auschwitz or Birkenau, or was it a person from Germany?
It was a doctor from Germany, probably.
Yeah.
With, of course, those Nazis who were in Birkenau, who were managing the camp.
The man didn't come from Horneburg to select you.
I really don't know. He could have. I never saw him again.
So then you went to Horneburg.
Then we were taken to Horneburg. Now, when we arrived first to Hamburg.
Yes.
And from there we were marched to Horneburg.
You walked?
We walked. I remember getting off the train. There were heaps of green apples lying around in the station on the ground. They were probably in the process of packing it. And I remember one girl, we were so hungry, you can imagine. We were starving. And one girl rushed there and wanted to pick up a few apples. And the poor girl, I don't know what her end was, but she was immediately taken away by the SS. Then we arrived in the camp.
What happened when you arrived there first?
It was not a large camp, not like Birkenau, and there were wooden barracks.
Yes.
But different ones, smaller ones and better ones than the ones in Birkenau. And as I said, everyone had a bunk for themselves, and two bunks on top of each other were standing everywhere. And there were smaller rooms than in Birkenau, because in Birkenau, in every block, there were 1,000 girls. Here we were only about 200 in the whole camp.
How many were in one room?
I can't, but four in one room, two in each, two on top of one another, and two of such banks were in the room.
Just four?
Just four, yes.
4 women in one room?
Yeah, yeah. And there were lots of SS guards, women.
Yes.
The men were guarding outside the gate, and there were an Unterscharführer who was the manager of the whole camp, and under him worked the guards, the male guards who guarded all around the camp, and the women guards who guarded us in the barracks.
First, one more question. What happened right after you arrived in Horneburg?
In what respect you
how did the SS choose you for the barracks, for example?
I can't remember that.
Yeah.
We were just assigned one after the other into the barracks. They didn't make any ceremony with that, so I really can't remember any specific.
Were 2 barracks?
No, there were more.
More barracks?
Many more. I can't remember how many though, because you see, the one thing you must understand, that we were not allowed to walk around anywhere. We were not told anything. We were not able to ask anything. No one told us anything. We just had to do whatever we were commanded. So then when we went to the factory to work, also there was no preparation for that. We were just told to get up in the morning, like every morning, for Zelappel, and then we were given the meager food that they gave us, and then we were told to stand in a row, and they were marching us to work. Now, that was winter already,
Yes.
as you can imagine, and it was a very heavy winter, very cold, and the snow was all the time steady.
Yeah.
Hard, cold, frozen snow. And we marched on that snow at 6:30 in the morning.
Yeah. So you got up about 5 o'clock?
Yes, probably.
Yeah.
And they marched us in the row, and the SS were guarding us on both sides, and in front and in the back of our.
Were the women or the men?
Women. Women came with us, and they were very, very brutal and very, very bad. And they screamed at us if there was a gap between two girls, then they screamed at us, los, African here. And you know, when I said that we had shoes, they were wooden shoes.
Yes.
And we had no socks. So you can imagine our feet frozen from the cold in these wooden shoes, and we had to rush when they said slow African here, so we had to rush one after the other, and we knocked each other's legs with the wooden shoes, and because it was frozen, the skin broke and it was bleeding. And every morning and every evening, on our way to and fro from the factory, the snow had blood stains all the way from the camp to the factory. That was all the time, the whole time that we were working in Hamburg, in Horneburg.
And what did you do exactly at the factory?
Oh, we made little lamps for aircraft or tanks or whatever it was, for the radios of the aircraft, as I understand it. And we built the lamps, globes, tiny globes, from scratch. We built it from scratch, and we made it whole with the glass as well.
Yeah.
I was assigned to the task of building the inside of the globe. We were sitting at long tables, and every girl had space for themselves with a little welding machine to weld together the little wires, very, very, very small, very thin, and colorless, so that you had to be, first of all, you had to have very, very good eyes. That's where the eyes came in. And you had to have a magnifying glass, a looper. I was working with a looper like a watchmaker or a jeweler. With little print satin. Because, of course, you couldn't pick up the wires with your fingers. It was, too small and too thin for that. And each and every one...
Eine Pinzette so
yes. Like a jeweler picks up every part of the watch or a tiny diamond with a... I can't remember the word at this moment in English, but a pincette, pincette. We had a glass top for our bench, and there was a very strong light directly beaming on this glass top, so that we had a very good light to work in. And I had first I had a little plate, a tiny little plate from sun metal, and on that I built the inside of the globe out of these little wires. I was taught how to do it by the girl the forelady of the factory, who was an expert in it. She showed us once or twice, and that was it. And from then on, we had to know. And we had to sit there for 12, 14 hours a day, and we were told never to look up, never to turn our heads left or right, until we are being told to stand up or whatever.
And what happened if you, for example, if you wanted to go to the toilet?
Well, we had to lift up our heads then and make eye contact with the SS guard lady who was there, and she immediately came there and asked what I wanted, and I said I want to go to the toilet. I worked upstairs.
Yes.
Downstairs in that factory there were men, prisoners of war, Italians, Russians and so forth, who worked at big machines. I don't know what they did. Maybe they made the outer parts of the globes. I have no idea. They were working there, and the toilets were downstairs. So when I said that I wanted to go to the toilet, the SS guard always, but always said, wait till I allow you. And sometimes it took half an hour, sometimes it took an hour, until she decided that it's enough for me to wait. Now she would take me. And then she accompanied me. I was not allowed to go by myself. She accompanied me. Now there was one particularly nasty SS woman. She was tall, with very blonde hair in curls all around her face. She had very big, prominent eyes. She was an ugly woman.
Do you remember the name of her?
No. I don't know if anybody knew her name, because we didn't, we just didn't call her by name.
So did you give her a name? Did you give her a name, for example?
My name?
No.
We had numbers, we didn't have names.
No, if you gave the SS women a name.
Ah, among ourselves.
Just a nickname.
If we did, I forgot, but I know the poor lady's name. She was Fräulein Köpke. And she wasn't an SS. She was a civilian.
Factory.
She was a civilian, and she was supervising the work. Now this SS, this tall blonde one, was on duty that day, and she accompanied me to the toilets downstairs. And as we got into the toilets, she started hitting me. She was in a rage which I can't tell you, beyond control. She hit me in the face, over my head. She boxed me in my breast, in my back. She threw me down on the floor. She kicked me with her legs, my whole body. I was one pulp of my whole body was one pulp. I was bleeding from all over. And it was so sudden, and it was so absolutely unbelievable that I dared to ask, why? And she said, you were smiling at the men, those men who were working downstairs. Now, I did not smile, I didn't even look up, but it is possible, I imagine, that she smiled at them, and they didn't smile back at her, but looked pityingly at me, because I was a tiny little thing, very, very small. As you can see, I am small, and I was so skinny, and I had just one light little dress on, which could have gone for a night dress, actually, and nothing else, with wooden shoes. And I was stiff.
Yeah. Was it the same dress from Auschwitz? Or did you get...
No, because every time we went to Auschwitz for entlausing, they gave us different things, you see. So at that time it was already different, but it was the same sort of thing.
And you got a new number also in Horneburg?
No.
No.
No one got a new number.
So you had the same number
When I came back up, and by the way, she didn't allow me to go to the toilet. After beating me up, she said, march up. And she told me, listen, before we came out of the toilet, she told me, listen, I did you a great favor, because if the Unterscharführer or anybody else would have seen you smiling at the man, you would have gotten, I don't know what, really. But she did me a favor, and she made sure that I didn't do that in the future. And so I was not to tell anybody what happened to me, because I was bleeding all over and I was bruised all over, and I was in a mess. My whole dress was soaked in blood, and she knew that people will see, so she told me not to say anything, and I didn't. But everybody who was allowed to see, to look, saw me, and no one said anything. And I had to sit down and continue working. This is how we lived there.
And during the work, did you get something to eat a day?
Yes. We had a midday meal in the factory, and the meal was cooked in the kitchens of the factory, and we actually went there. It was in another building, and we had to walk there when the SS told us to. But it was cooked, of course, not by civilians, but by SS, and they tortured us in that too. What was the midday meal? A soup, a kind of a soup. And one day they didn't put any salt in it. The next day they did us a favor not to rob us of the salt, so they salted it for birthdays, you know, things like that. But we ate everything they gave us, because otherwise we would have died.
Did you get something to eat from other workers from the war downstairs?
No, we had no contact.
From the lady who worked with you?
No, with the four lady.
Yeah.
Oh no, if she approached us, it was only in the presence of the SS guard. She never on her own, and certainly she never talked to us even a word. It was only about the work. If there was something that she had to tell us, and very little, there was very little, because once she showed us what to do, we did it. And you know, we were very young, all underage, and so we learned quickly, and we made sure that we didn't do anything that was not allowed, so that we won't be punished, we won't be beaten up or punished in other ways. Because if somebody did something that wasn't allowed, like I remember 2 girls or 3 girls, they were Dutch girls, decided, yes, and they decided, or Jewish girls, they decided that they will run away, because this was a place not too far from Holland. And they thought they'll be able to run away. They knew the language very well, and they'll be able to hide and escape. And they started walking. It was Christmas Eve, 1945.
44.
44, sorry, yes. And they walked, and when they came to the end of the village. It was a village, Horneburg. We didn't see it actually. We saw only the camp and the factory.
It is a really
a small village. And when they came to the end of it, they didn't know exactly which way to turn. And there was an old man who was walking to midnight mass to church. And they asked him. And he told them where to go, which was the wrong direction. And that direction took them back to where they came from. And they were caught. And they were brought into the camp, stripped naked. And they stood there in front of the barrack where the guards lived, and as far as I know, they stood there till they froze to death. And they made sure that we see them every time we stood on Celapel.
So
This was the way they behaved with us.
You were all from Hungary, you women from
Yes,
Auschwitz?
some of us were from Transylvania, which is part, sometimes it was Hungary, sometimes it was Romania.
There were also some women from Dutch, from Holland.
These girls were from Holland.
And how was your relationship between the Hungarian women and
Oh, they spoke Hungarian the same as us.
no, they were with the Dutch women.
They were not in my barrack, so I didn't know them actually.
Yeah.
I didn't know them.
They were in a separate.
A separate barrack, yes.
The SS women, the other one were the same, in the same condition, like
They all behaved the same way, all of them. Yes. Yes.
And how were the SS men who were outside the camp?
We had no contact with them, not until somebody wanted to escape or something. Otherwise, we had no contact with them, except when they came to, for instance, on Celapel, the SS ladies counted us, and then they wrote down the numbers, and those numbers the books were given to the Unterscharführer. You know, so we saw him. That kind of
And
thing.
did every woman do the same or does the same work in the factory?
No, there were different works. For instance, my friend, who lives in Budapest now, she survived together with me. She was sitting at the machine where somebody else put these little parts, the inside parts of the globe that we built at my table. Others put it in a glass globe, and my friend was sitting at the machine that was a round machine, and it closed up the glass around the globe like a light globe, you know, but it wasn't round. It was longish. It was long and round.
Yeah.
And it had the end of it was like the opening of a bottle, a small bottle.
I think there was also some work inside the camp, for example, in the revier, in the kitchen. Do you know something about that?
No. As far as I know, we all worked in the factory.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you didn't do any work in the
Not
camp?
that I know of. Not that I knew nobody who worked in
Was
the
there a
kitchen.
kitchen in the camp?
No, I could have been, but I didn't, as I say, we didn't get the chance to go out of the barracks ever, except for Celapel, and to go to work, and when we came back, we were counted again, and herded into the barracks again. And from the barracks we were not allowed to go out at all during the night.
So you don't know if there was maybe a Schreiberin or whatever?
No. No.
And do you remember the Lagerälteste of Horneburg?
No. No, I don't know which one of them was. We only had contact with those. There was actually a Lagerälteste.
Do you remember what her job was?
But I can't remember her, what she looked like. I remember the Lagerälteste of Auschwitz, the Grese. She was an absolutely angelic woman. She was so beautiful. She was like an angel. And when she used to come and select with Dr. Mengele, they were both a beautiful looking couple. But in Horneburg, I can't remember now. I can't recall what she looked like. There was a Lagerälteste, and there were the women guards who worked under her. But I can only remember two of them.
Yes. So
one was
Blockälteste, was it, or Stubenälteste?
They were not Blockältestes. They were the ones who accompanied us to work and stood guard in the factory.
But this were also women from Hungary.
No, these were the SS, the German SS.
But I understand.
No, I can't remember any. You're talking about Blockälteste in Birkenau.
No, Horneburg.
But you're talking about those Jewish Blockältestes in Birkenau.
No, in Horneburg.
But Jewish Blockältestes were only in Birkenau, in Auschwitz, not in Horneburg.
But maybe Stubenälteste?
I can't remember them. No.
And who gave you, for example, the food in the morning or in the evening?
Somebody did, but I can't remember. No, I can't
and
remember.
You don't remember what the job was of the Lagerälteste?
No. Why? Lagerälteste was what a job that is. You know, she looked after the whole camp. But what, together with the Unterscharführer, but what it entailed wasn't my business. As I'm telling you, we were so busy with our work in the factory. We had no free time, and we had no way to know anything about the camp.
Did you do also some work on Sunday?
Every day.
Every day.
As far as I remember, every day.
It wasn't a free day.
As far as I remember, there wasn't.
Yeah.
And then, you know, when the bombing of Hamburg was so bad already that they had to evacuate us because they needed the work we did. It was very, very important. It was for the war effort. They evacuated us to Westphalian.
Yeah, one second. And what happened if there was bombs were falling in Horneburg?
Yes, not in Horneburg, in Hamburg.
Yeah.
In Horneburg there were no bombs.
No bombs.
No, we never saw any bombings. We only heard and felt the bombs.
Yeah.
Because when the bombs fell, it was very loud explosions,
Yes.
and the whole barrack shook, and our banks were swaying from right to left, from left to right, almost fell over.
Yeah.
As I say, I had my the top bunk, and I sometimes almost fell over. And we knew that something will have to change because they can't keep us there much longer.
Yeah.
And
there wasn't a bunker or something?
no,
Just for your
no,
safety.
there may have been, but we don't know about it.
And the barracks for the SS, was it outside the camp or?
No, it was at the entrance of the camp.
Yeah, there was a fence between?
No, there wasn't a fence between them. No, they were inside the fence of the camp.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think you are all religious, you were all Jewish women.
Yes.
What about the religion in the camp?
We couldn't keep anything. But some of us, you know, we didn't have a calendar, we didn't know the date, but some of us, of the girls, knew when a Jewish holiday was. For instance, you heard probably of Yom Kippur.
Yes, of course.
Yom Kippur, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur and Sukkot, we were still in Birkenau.
Yeah.
And we kept those holidays among ourselves. We prayed whatever we could remember off by heart, and we fasted on Yom Kippur.
So you didn't eat them?
No, we were given a piece of bread, of course, like every day, but if we were lucky and we weren't pushed out of the queue, you see.
So you were just on Hanukkah in Horneburg, I think.
Yes, Hanukkah. Mm-hmm.
And did you do something on that?
Not in our barak, we just didn't have anything to do it with.
Yeah.
And we also were young girls, and we didn't realize that in a case like that, even girls could make the blessing, because normally men do the blessing, men say the blessing. But I know that some others did.
Yes.
Maybe, yes. I heard about others who hollowed out potatoes to make a hole in it for a little oil to be able to put a tiny piece of cloth or whatever made into a wick, and they lit it. But not in our barak, no, because we didn't have any access to any potatoes or anything, or oil or anything else. But some people knew that it's Hanukkah, yes. And what we were able to do is to sing Hanukkah songs.
Yeah, you sang.
Yes.
Yeah, that was my next question.
Yes.
What did you do outside? You're not working in the evening. Of course, you rested.
Yes.
Slept.
That's all we did.
But you said you sang a song or
on Hanukkah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Maybe you
there
tell me
was
some
no.
story about the past.
Yeah, look, I had my girlfriend, and we used to sit together in a corner and tell each other stories about